To find the volume of a prism, you need to find first the area of the base and multiply it by the height of that prism. So again, the capital B stands for the area of the base, and then H stands for the height of the prism. It's important to remember that the base of that entire prism should be perpendicular to the height of that prism. So they form a 90-degree angle. So the first example, we have a triangular prism. So our two congruent and parallel bases are triangles. We know to find the area of a triangle that you have to take the base times the height and divide it by 2. So in this case, since the base and height have to be perpendicular for a triangle as well, this could be the height. I need to figure out what the length of the base is. So I'm going to call that x for now. So we need to find that before we can go on to volume. So this is a right triangle, so the Pythagorean theorem will help us. So x squared plus 6 squared equals 10 squared. X squared plus 36 would equal 100. Taking away 36, we would know that x squared equals 64. So therefore, x is 8 units long, which means that right here, we could say that this is 8 units long. And therefore, let's first find the area of that base. So the area of the base, we take the 6 times the 8, 6 times 8, and we divide it by 2. 6 times 8 is 48, so divided by 2 is 24. So remember, the volume is equal to the area of the base times the height. So the area of the base was 24. And the height of the prism, well, the length right here, 15 units long. This is what's perpendicular to those triangular bases. So the height is 15. Remember, height doesn't necessarily mean vertical because you're not always going to be sitting the prism on one of its bases. So the volume in this case, when I do 24 times 15, is exactly 360 units cubed. Now, if you go down to a rectangular prism, it's really up to you to decide what you would consider to be the base. You could say that the bottom rectangle here is the base. You could say the right face is the base, the top, the front, the back, it doesn't really matter. So oftentimes, if you're trying to find the volume of a rectangular prism, you've probably seen length times width times height. And that's because, let's say if I did length times width, well, this is considered probably your height of the picture. So let's say if this is length and this is width, well, you can see how doing 6 times 2, that would give me 12. You could consider that to be the area of the base if you wanted the bottom part here to be the base. And then you would multiply by the height, 3, and you would get 36. So really all that matters is that when you're looking at a rectangular prism, you multiply all 3 of your dimensions. So it doesn't really matter which order, we would get 36 cubic units. Now, if we hop over here, in this case, we have 2 trapezoidal bases. So we have to find first the area of that base. So the area of a trapezoid, remember you want to take of the trapezoid, the 2 bases, so I'll call them A and B. We add those together and divide by 2, and we multiply that times the height. So for our trapezoid, I can see if this is 2, this is also 2 over here. So here is a base. Let me use a different color so you can see it. Here is the 2 bases of the trapezoid. So if I'm going to find the area of the base of the prism, I have to take those 2 plus 5. We're going to divide it by 2, and then we're going to multiply by the height of the trapezoid. And that height is right here. This is what's perpendicular to those 2 bases. So we're going to multiply by 3.5. So 2 plus 5 is 7, divided by 2 is 3.5. And 3.5 times 3.5 is 12.25. So the area of this trapezoidal base right here is 12.25 units squared. So now if we want the volume, we have to take the area of the base times the height of the prism. So we can take 12.25 and multiply by our height, and that's going to be given by this unit right here, 8 units long, because that side is what's perpendicular to the base of the prism. So 12.25 times 8 gives us 98 cubic units. The last one, we have another prism here, but in this case, our bases are parallelograms. As a reminder, the area of a parallelogram is equal to base times height. So we can see that the base of the parallelogram is 8 units, and its height, which is perpendicular here, is 3 units. So the area of the base is 8 times 3, or 24 square units. Therefore, the volume is going to be the area of the base, 24, times the height of the prism, which is given right here. This is going to be 4 units long. So 24 times 4, we get 96 cubic units.